Diaspora Moments by Dion London.
So, Shola,
Yes.
something is really bugging my mind. And the thing is, I don't understand why in the African household, parents don't discuss sex with the kids. I don't know whether it's a taboo. I don't know whether it's tradition or our culture. But I feel like a lot of kids grow up in their African household and they have no idea what sex is about.
yeah.
And most of us, we have to find out what sex is outside.
Outside, yeah.
So is it because our parents are like scared to tell us or even communicate that with us?
Yeah.
Or they are shy, or it's just weird, or it's just the whole culture thing that is
I think
like
it's a mixture, right? Because I think everything you listed, it sounds like, but then, our parents, most of us Africans, you're either a Christian background or a Muslim background.
Right.
And I think in both religions, sex is looked at as if you're going to hell if you have sex. Right? So I think because it's so like, I don't know. I think they themselves were raised to think that sex was so bad that it can't be brought up, and it even had to be a secret to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if some people didn't even know how they got here, like because your parent will cover it or hide it so much so that But I mean, to an extent, I get it because I think sex is one of those things that is very.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to teach it, you might not do well.
I feel like it's a punchline.
Yeah. I think in America, they say the birds and the bees, right?
Yeah.
And even with that, it's like, I don't think that's a good way to teach it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I remember when I was like, I don't know how old I was then, but I remember I was asking my mom, was like, when you guys get pregnant, like the kids, like where did they come from? Like, so in my head, I always thought like, because we grew up seeing our mom, our aunts and our neighbors, like the women getting pregnant and the stomach gets like really big.
Right. Yeah.
In my head, I thought like they have to cut their stomach open, like from the top down, open their stomach wide, and then take the baby out.
Really?
Because you know how like the stomach is big one time.
Yeah. And then
once the baby comes out, the stomach goes back to
normal.
Yeah. That's what I've been thinking in my head.
Right.
And I don't know at what age I asked my mom, like, okay, like, so the kids, like,
you actually asked her?
I did.
I never asked. Never asked. I never asked. I know as I got older, okay, so let me actually tell you a funny story. So, well, it's not even really funny, but I was, I don't know, maybe 18, 19, maybe 20. I can't remember. And that was the first time I ever told my mom. No, I told her before, but then that was after I had told her I wasn't a virgin. We had like a conversation, maybe like a year or two. Yes. Man, let me tell you. I told her, and then maybe like a year or two later, we had the conversation again, and she tried to pretty much come at me because she was saying that, this whole time she was thinking that all her girls were virgins. And she didn't know that I did this and I did that. And I'm looking at her and me, okay, so out of all my siblings, except for my brother, I have a mouth. So me, I'll tell you how I feel. So I told her, I was like, let's not do that because you were supposed to teach me.
Right.
You were supposed to teach me what it meant to honor your body or to wait, even if it's not until marriage, to wait in general, etc. And she was like, no, I did tell you. I told you not to do it. I said, Mommy, that's not you telling me.
Right.
What is sex? Like, what does that mean? What does it mean to, preserve your purity and all that extra stuff and da-da-da. And when she realized that I was right, she calmed down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least she owned some level of accountability.
Yeah.
Because African parents, a lot of them really don't. They know. Like, they will just blame everything on you. Like, oh, you're a bad child.
Yeah.
I've been telling you not to do this, not to do that, and you disobey me. Meanwhile, everything is just so raw with them, right?
Yeah.
They just come straight to you and say, don't do this.
Right.
They just don't tell you why. Why shouldn't I do it? And we don't get that.
Yeah.
I remember, and again, because of lack of communication within the African home, I remember when my younger sister, like, grew up, I don't know at what age it is, and you know how girls grow up and they start having, like, their period, right?
Yeah.
And do you know that she had her period and my mom didn't even know about it and I didn't know about it?
Oh, really?
Because she was so shy to come to me or my mom to tell her that, like I have my period. So then anytime she has her period come, she's hiding it.
Right. Oh.
And it was one of our neighbor who actually came to my mom and told my mom that I think she's doing her period. Before my mom actually went to her. And even when my mom went to her to discuss it with her, she still didn't give in. Like it took her time for, I believe, maybe for her to feel comfortable in order to communicate or have that kind of conversation with her. And I think it has something to do with the whole, again, like I said, I don't know whether it's a cultural thing. I don't know what it is.
I think it is a culture thing, but I think it can't be labeled as just one thing. I think just being Africans as a whole, I think we are also taught to be secretive with mostly everything.
And timid.
Very.
Especially in Ghana. We are raised to be timid. Like when your parents are talking, don't talk. Talk with your hand behind your back. You know, you're not supposed to exercise any level of disagreement or anything like that. Parents are always right in our household, even though we know damn well that what this man or this woman is saying
is not right.
It's not right.
No,
we just shut up.
And funny enough, I'm not sure if this is what made it a little bit different for me, because I was born in Nigeria, but I came here very, very early. So I don't know if it was a mixture of the American culture for all myself and my siblings. But for me, like I said, I was more assertive, so that wouldn't work with me. And for me, it's like that's my personality. So I don't know if maybe a mixture of the cultures came, because we have the same thing. You can't even be in the same room if there's visitors.
No, you can't.
And don't even be a visitor at somebody else's house. You can't eat, you can't breathe. You cannot do anything to somebody else's house. Like that's how we were raised, that's how we were taught. But then it's like, for me, I don't know, my personality, I think I had like a balance of both, because at one point I was very timid, but at the same time I would still speak up. So that's why when I even tell people that, I had that even with my dad, I had that conversation with my mom, and I told her that I wasn't a virgin. People would look at me like, really? I mean, I don't care.
Because it's surprising to hear you say that you had this kind of conversation with her. Because we know that in an African household,
it wasn't even a conversation, because when I told her, let me not even tell you what she said. But I think for me, I'm the type of person where I like everything off my chest. So it's like if we're having conversations and let's say the conversation about sex comes up, I don't want to, at the time, I didn't want to continue to pretend like, oh yeah, I'm a virgin with my sister. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So it was more so just to release my own conscience. So for me, communicating is more so to release my own heart, my own conscience. It's not about the person. And funny enough, honestly speaking, it worked for me, because years later, because my mom too, and I would say, although she did have the African or Nigerian culture, in her, she was very open. And her first reaction, of course, was to curse and do all that nonsense.
Yeah, because I was about to ask, okay, what was her reaction? What was her first reaction?
I can't even respond. I'll repeat it in English, but it was all types of curses, and she didn't know her daughter was this, and da-da-da-da-da. And me, I did cry. I cried a little bit.
How old was that? Like, how old were you then?
I was a freshman in college. So, where was I?
So you were like 18, 19?
18, 19. When I told her.
It's not that bad.
When I told her. So I had to go back in the past. I said, because then she started asking questions. Like, what happened? How did that happen? I said, I didn't call you to tell you this. But honestly speaking, I thank God for it, because as I got older, there were certain things, of course, that happened with guys, and now I was actually able to go tell my mom. And then before she passed, I was able to get some stories from her. I was like, oh, so me and you are not far from me. And that's another thing about African parents. The topic about sex or things that are sexual, they don't like to talk about, but they don't realize how it would actually be helpful. Because a lot of the things that your daughters or your sons have gone through or are going through, you've done it. So it'd be easy for you to be like, So it was something had happened to me, and I had told my mom, and then she had told me, like, the same thing happened between her and my dad at the time, and then a boyfriend that she had before my dad. And I looked at her, I said, oh, really? Nah, it's shocking.
through.
Right.
Like this.
Oh, but no, I definitely thank God for the mom I have. But I know a lot of people in their homes don't have.
No, yeah,
They don't have that.
They
So
don't.
yeah.
It's really terrible.
Yeah.
It's like the father, this kind of conversation is really not being held in the home.
In the home.
And then, being also raised to be timid. When you have both of this
Yeah.
on like kids, they really grow up keeping everything to themselves and not being very open. But when it comes to the US or even any of this Western, land, you realize that the kids grow up and they are very open, right?
Yeah.
They are very talkative. Like they express themselves so well.
Yeah.
But us, we don't.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting though, and I want to actually ask because I do have a lot of Ghanaian male friends and even the Nigerian males as well. One thing that I noticed though, they also growing up in Africa or Nigeria or Ghana are very open about sex though.
Yeah.
Conversations, they don't have a timid, reaction when it comes to sex. It's more so the women.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think so. You know how there's this saying that when you go to Rome, do what the Romans do.
Yeah.
So I feel like once like the African kids cross borders to come here, they change. The culture over here kind of really changed. But the men are kind of change more quickly than the female. The females still keep the whole, oh, you a girl, be decent,
right?
Don't open your legs for just any man. That kind of morals, right? The girls some still kind of like keep it, but the guys really really go wild.
They go wild,
yes.
yeah. And in American culture, though, funny enough, you would find similar situations, but in the home, I think the parents are more open to talking about it.
Yes.
But the kids still are, you will find, I would say more so with girls that are more timid to talk about it, even with that environment in the home, because society in America would shame a woman if she's sexually expressive.
Right.
So I think it's a lot. The culture, the shame that comes with it for women, and then I don't know, for men, it may not be the shame side of it, but I don't know. That's the thing. I don't think men I don't know. Dads wouldn't talk to their daughters about it, but I think they would be open to talk to their sons about it.
Yeah.
You think so?
I feel like when it comes to women, right, the whole like protection thingy, it cut across like everywhere. Even I think it started even from the Bible, right? When like I don't remember the Bible quotation or like, but do you remember when the lady that committed adultery?
The prostitute?
Right.
And they wanted to stone her.
And they wanted to stone her and stuff like that. But the man was like, as if he didn't do anything.
Right.
Meanwhile, it took two people to tangle, right? So I just felt like the whole, women, girls growing up to be women, it's been like that from ages. It's been like that from ages.
Yeah. I actually, even just going to the question, and I can be corrected. I think the awkwardness or the discomfort of having conversations about sex in the home, it seems like it's geared more to the women.
Yeah.
Because you would even find some men. So I was dating a guy at one point, right? And this was, I think, 2019. And we were having conversations about like if he was to have sons, like the difference between his sons and his daughters. And he was saying like, he made a joke and he was like, with his sons, he would even prepare like another girl for them at a certain age to have them break their virginity or whatever the case may be. Yes, like very more open and into it when it came to the boys.
But they would go buy
with the girls, they would buy exactly.
For the guy.
Some of them will even say they don't want to have girls because they don't want to deal with that.
No, they don't want to have girls because of what they did to someone else's daughter.
That too, because they know themselves.
Nature don't play like that. Okay?
Exactly.
You treat someone else's daughter like shit. Someone else is going to treat your daughter
right.
like that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if it's more so with the women, but it looks that way. But overall, I think that in the African home, the reason why it's a taboo, I think it's to talk about sex. I think religion, because in religion,
it plays a huge part.
Even in the church, they don't talk about sex.
Yeah, because I've seen some churches where if you have sex and then you get caught, you probably won't be allowed to attend the church anymore. Or there's a certain church. Usually what they do is they will tell you to sit at the back, like of the congregation, like you sit there.
Yeah.
So anytime someone is sitting over there, everybody in the church knows
What happened?
what they did. What
That's
nonsense
even
is that?
nice.
What kind of God are we worshiping?
There's 2 churches that I
What
know.
kind of discrimination is this?
There's two that I know very well. Two. It happened. I actually know 3 people.
God.
One, I used to go to the church, and then the other one, somebody that I know goes to that church. So long story short, they have found out that they were fornicating in the church. And they actually asked these people to get up on stage and confess their sins in front of everybody.
No way.
I promise you, yes. Me, I could never in my life.
But did they do it though?
Yeah. It was a thing of like, my name is such and such, and I was caught doing something, and
With
I
this
was
person?
doing with this person.
Standing next to you?
Yes. Oh, well, let me tell you, in Nigeria, it's bad. Look, I've seen some situations where the pastor would beat the girl on stage.
What?
Yes.
Because they had sex?
Yes. Religion, I think religion plays a big part in it. Sex is just something that is, I don't know why people are scared to.
I think it is, and that's just my opinion. Is religion, let me tell you, at a certain point, religion is just a huge problem to Africa.
Yes.
Seriously.
Oh.
I don't understand
That's
why. I mean, I can understand what you want to instill in the kids, which is moral, right?
Yes.
But it is never right for you to really bring kids to come stand in front of the congregation to just humiliate
It's
them
never
like this.
right. I don't agree
Because
with it at all.
Meanwhile, the same pastors are sleeping with the church choir. How dare they?
You know, one thing, me and my younger brother were having a conversation about church one time, and he was pretty much just expressing like why he doesn't like to go to church. And he was pretty much saying that the reason why he, especially for starting at a young age, he didn't like to go to church was because we didn't, not we, because I wasn't a part of the list. My parents didn't realize that the reason why he didn't want to go to church was because he did not see them practicing
what they are preaching.
What you're preaching. Especially, at the time, my dad, love him though. They were not practicing what they were preaching. And it was even to the point where I think he said he went to church one time and he asked the Sunday school teacher a question about God or something or whatever, and she couldn't answer. So for him, in his head, it's like, okay, why are we pushing or enforcing religion, church, morals, values from the church, these and the third, but most people that I'm seeing are not walking or practicing it.
They're not practicing it because they don't understand what you want them to practice. Because a lot of churches, some churches, it's hard for you to go to the pastor, the bishop, the prophet, the evangelist, whatever title that they hold. It's really hard for you to really go to these people and ask them questions about the Bible, about what you are preaching, right?
Yeah.
If you are telling me that in the Garden of Eden, Eve and Adam, their sins because they ate the apple. 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 Apple that we are eating it right now in this generation.
I'll crack up.
You're telling me that these two people that I don't even know them, they ate the apple and we are paying for their sins.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no problem. And so when we come to these pastors and we are asking questions, then they say you can ask such questions. How dare you challenge your bishop? How dare you question the word of God? If we don't question what this book is telling us, then we are not learning. So that's the reason why a lot of people in the church are not practicing what is being preached out there. Because they don't even understand what you are telling them to practice in the first place.
And I think that same energy or the attitude that, some leaders in the body of Christ or the church have is what our parents also now bring into the home. So if we're talking about sex, it's like, don't ask me anything, just don't do it because I'm telling you it's not good for you to do it. We're not even supposed to have a conversation about it because in their head, you're not even supposed to be doing it right now, right? If that makes sense. And I don't know if some people get married and then they're able to have that conversation with their parents, but I think it gets to a point where by the time you're grown and you've either already done it, or if you waited until marriage, you're not going back to mom and dad and asking, oh, what are birds and the bees? And I already know, you know? So that, I think that is why the conversation is never had. It's almost like I don't know, like a master mentality. Just do what I say. Don't ask me no questions.
Don't ask any question. Don't ask why.
If they say it's bad, or if I say it's bad, then it's bad. If you're not supposed to do it, just don't do it. And I think that it goes back or ties back into us being timid and shy and not having that confidence to assert ourselves. And to be honest, I think if some parents would just teach their kids how to be assertive, but you can still be respectful and be assertive. Right? But I think questioning or talking back in any sense is just deemed disrespectful as a whole.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's what really makes it an uncomfortable topic in the African home.
I think right now in this generation, things are really changing.
Yeah.
You have like, before it's really even hard for a woman to even tell you that I've slept with like 2 men, right?
Yes.
Now even on social media, you have like, you know, girls on social media telling you how they have like 10 body counts, right?
Let me tell you
something.
I
body counts. I've slept with this person, I've slept with this person, and I slept with this person. And even in the African home, it's still the same thing. You still have, or even like in like Africa, you still have, you know, girls or guys even coming out saying like, oh, I've slept with this person, I've slept with 500 girls and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But then back in the days, nobody wanna like have this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
People will be looking at you like, huh?
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's similar to even what we were talking about when we were talking about the what was we talking about? The women and what did they call feminists?
Yeah.
And how I think because, just to sum it up, women were boxed and closed for it's almost like an animal that you cage that is meant to be in the wild, the wilderness. Once you release him or her, they go crazy, right? So I think once women, you know, were given the opportunity to now speak for themselves or fight for their rights, they went extreme. Now with girls and boys, you know, that didn't have that opportunity to really express themselves, now we have kids that are just going wild, if that makes sense. I worked at a school, high school. I would not say like when I was growing up, you know, it was a thing where if you were to ever be accused of doing something sexual at school or whatever the case may be, it was something where you either lied until it was your last day or you found a way to cover yourself, right? But these kids, because I was a mental health counselor at the high school, so of course I would have like sessions with them. And these girls, not boys, girls.
Y'all not scared anymore.
They don't... They will tell me like, yeah, I wanted the video of whatever I was doing to go viral because I wanted the boys in the school to know how good. And you're 14, 13? I said, wow. Well, I don't know if it's going on in Africa, but in America, it's going on. But no, these kids nowadays, they don't care. I think to an extent, I can understand it, but I think that, you know, all in all, do things and do it in moderation. Even if you want to have sex, be smart with it, you know.
I think it has the consequences of it.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You know, within the African home of parent not really communicating anything about sex.
Yeah.
It like, you know, it
plays
like
a part.
it plays a, you know, a huge impact on the kids.
Right.
But now that some parents are also having communication of, you know, sex with the kids, but the kids are also going wild.
Yeah.
That is also playing another like impact on the kids. For like what you said, a 14-year-old girl talking about how she want her sex tape to like a video to go out. Why?
Why? Why? Like that's the question. Why?
It goes viral and they're like, what, you gonna make money off it or something?
No, and that's the thing. It's not even for profit, but just I don't know if there's a high that they get to know that they are wanted sexually.
Do they have like mothers and fathers in their lives?
Well, to be fair, a lot of these kids are fatherless, either prison or mom is there, but you know, mom has to work or she's not necessarily doing a good job herself. So I would say you do find that situation with kids that are raised in that. Because in African homes, even though, for example, some of us, not saying that we waited like our parents told us to, but we, like I said, we did that in moderation. You weren't nobody knew your
That
business.
bad.
Let's put it that way. Nobody knew your business. It was covered because you still carried that sense of security and let me cover myself, right? But nowadays, or let me just say in America, I don't know if it's going on in other countries, they don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
So guys, let me know what you guys think. Were you able to have sex conversation with your parents? And as a matter of fact, I would like to know their first reaction. Okay? Let's keep the conversation going. And thank you very much for watching the Diaspora Moment podcast. My name is Dion, and I have Shola over here, and then we will see you next week. Thank you.
This is Diaspora Moments by Dion London.